Taylor Swift.
Well, we know she's a Sag.
Period.
Everybody cannot be Keke Palmer.
Come on
Only
now.
one Keke Palmer. I'm not kidding.
So how do you tell someone that you will always fail in love? How do you tell them that? Ooh, child, that is spooky.
It is your mission in this life.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Wow. This is so interesting. Okay. So, Mom, I have a question for you. This question is like really going to take us to the summit, okay? What's the point? Honestly, Sharon.
What's the point of life?
Honestly, because if we just, I don't care if you're somebody that thinks about that you get life one time. I don't care if you're a person that thinks that life is, reincarnations. Even if you're somebody that thinks like, if you're on the standpoint of, look, we're just all itty bitty break off pieces of God, right? God is this great big entity of everything. Mm-hmm. Whether you see God as a math problem or you see God as a scientific formula, God is God to all of us. It's the everything, right? The whatever that was here before we're here that remains, and it's broken off into little bitty pieces of us, right? You following me?
Sure.
So if God is broken off into little bitty pieces of us and we are all essentially like God, a reflection and vessel of God in this existence in his life, what is the research term paper that God is doing that he got us down here living these individual lives? Like, what is God trying to do with that? Like, if I look at God as a teacher and we're just all many versions of a term paper that he's trying to turn in, like,
what's the ultimate goal?
What is the ultimate goal? I'm just curious of what anyone thinks. There's no wrong or right answer, but just what do you think?
Well, I do believe in reincarnation. So I do believe we're recycling lives.
Right.
I just think that some things you don't question. I think because you can drive yourself crazy. But I do believe that there's a God. I do believe that we have free will. I do believe that, my mother used to say, God gave you a tongue to taste and ears to hear and eyes to see, use them. She would say that, a mind to think, use them. And so I just think that we're here. And we have to choose our paths, right? Ugh. And some of us choose a path of love and others choose a path of vindictiveness and murder and whatever.
Yeah.
And I just think that the purpose, I think God, I don't speak for God, but this is what I feel and this is the way I was raised, is that the ultimate goal is to get us to love each other, to get us to respect each other, to really have us think about, like when you think about all the 10 commandments, the one that sticks out to me is do unto others as you have them do unto you.
Yeah.
If we could all just do that, this would be a better world.
Yeah, and then maybe we would come to the realization that we are ultimately one. I mean, I think from an individual standpoint, I'm right there with you, right? I totally believe in reincarnation. I actually believe that, like, if we are a little bitty, spiritual broke off pieces, we're meant to experience life and grow and believe that we are separate from God to constantly find out that we never could be, right? That we are always a part of the essence that is, because we could not be here without being a part of that. If if there's if there's a whole piece of bread, even if I take that piece of that bread off, I'm still going to be a part of the bread.
Right.
My biggest question, and like you said, some things don't need to be questioned. I think we can question them. We're probably never going to get the answer.
Right. Well, your dad, the reason why I said that, because your dad always teases me and he teases you because we're Virgos. And
always why?
He go like, why? That's how you guys live your life. It always has to be a why.
Oh, yeah.
That's that Virgo shit. It's not an answer, Sharon. Everything does not have an answer. I'm like, oh my God, you're sending me into a tailspin. It has to have an answer.
Yeah, no, totally. I think I've come more comfortable with the fact that it's more so the journey than the answer itself.
Right.
So that's why I still like asking these questions, because it satisfies my curiosity and makes me think in different ways, especially when I ask many people the question. Anyhow, what I was going to say was the part of it that always, still gets me revved up is, okay, let's say I've had a million different lives. And through all my experiences, after some trouble in the first few lives, I was always able to kind of, build good karma, build bad karma, good karma. And I know all these words are not connected, but I really do think that they're just different words for the same things. You know what I mean? Anyhow, I've done all of that stuff, right?
Right.
And now I've taken all that information has been brought to whatever.
Yeah.
It's like, is it now then a expansion of the universe? Is now now do I get to go to the extraterrestrial dimension? It's like that's
I don't
always
know.
it's so interesting.
You can still think about that over and over again. And, I think and the reason why I say I believe in reincarnation, because I do go places and I feel like a deja vu. I feel like I've been here before, but I don't, I can't put my finger on it.
I know you grew up Baptist, and then when you married Dad, you became Catholic.
Yes.
What do you think in terms of, the knowledge you learn of spirituality through your religions, your independent spirituality outside of your religion? What are your thoughts around astrology as a tool of to learn about ourselves? And it's like, do you think it's real? Do you think it's interesting?
I do.
Okay.
I think when I was a younger woman, I think astrology is something that I was involved in young, like 19, 20, 21. And then you're dating and you're like, oh, he's an Aries. What does an Aries man, oh, he's a Leo or whatever. And you're reading all those things. And I think it was fascinating. I think some of it was, coincided with what I was thinking and some of it didn't. And it was just interesting. And I find it interesting, but do I live my life by astrology? No.
Right.
Is every little thing that I've ever read about a Virgo applies to me? No, I'm very messy. Most of the time I read it, Virgos are organized. I am organized in my work and my thoughts. When I'm trying to put a project together, you are not going to find anyone more organized than me. But as a housekeeper, and my house is a mess.
But I think that's the cool thing with astrology is like when you get into the placements, you understand that they speak to different aspects. So like if somebody's sun is a Virgo, like our sun is a Virgo, that doesn't necessarily mean that we are, clean and organized in the most obvious ways. It means the systems in our mind, how we work, you know what I mean, in that regard. But I agree with you that at the end of the day, no one can tell you what choices you're going to make.
That's right.
You have free will. You have the option of choice. But the thing that I like about astrology is astrology can maybe tell you some of your tendencies, what comes naturally to you, or, things that you might, if you're this sign, that you might be this kind of communicator, and, use it when you will. If you feel like, I guess I am living in a space
I do think it's fun. I think it's humorous, it's fun, it's funny, and you know what I mean? But for someone to I'm not going out of the house because my astrology says today is going to be a bad day. That's some, I ain't going that far,
Yeah, what you're speaking to is like not living in the power that you have over your own life.
Bam.
You can't never do nothing.
Exactly.
I don't care what it is. And just relinquish to the fact that you have no power over your own life. That's crazy.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? You can know that a storm is coming tomorrow. That doesn't mean you're going to be ruined by it. You know what I mean? To not believe that you have a choice or say in the matter. We can know what's going on. We can know that it might be a winterous week and we can prepare for it.
Right.
But we don't have to be scared of it. I think that's what ultimately I'm saying.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, us Virgos have to stick together, okay? We can rule the world. Now, I'm going to go chat with Raj and Aliza and hear their professional thoughts on astrology.
Baby, this is Keke.
All right, you guys, I love astrology, which is why I had to dedicate a whole episode to it and get multiple perspectives on the topic. I am thrilled to introduce my next guest, who's made a huge impact on my life. Please welcome to the show, the Amazing Raj. Hey, Raj.
Hi, Keke. How are you?
I'm so good. It is always nice talking to you, but to have you on the show is just so much fun. Because, guys, I talk to Raj often. He always is giving me some encouraging words and telling me what's happening, what cycles we're in, and we just always have a really fun time. I met him through a friend, and now I've introduced him to all my friends, and now I'm introducing him to you guys. And I'm excited to get into this conversation because astrology is, I think a lot of times people think it's just one thing, but they're all different types. There's the Vedic science and how Vedic astrology differs from the everyday astrology maybe that some of us are into, if it does at all. So I'm curious, how would you describe the karmic Vedic chart?
Okay, Vedic karmic chart is a snapshot of your karma when you were born. Based on your date, time, and place of birth, it gives us a snapshot of the heavens when you were born. And that, based on our Vedic system, tells about the karma of the individual in the 4 dimension of existence. That means we call it dharma, artha, kama, and moksha. That means there is a life purpose for this person. A chart can reflect what is the life purpose of this person. What is the wealth factor in this person? How is the relationships going to be in this person, for this person in this life? How is the spiritual aspects of the life going to be for this person? It goes back to 5000 BC, and it's all in Sanskrit language. It's mathematical, and the
Mm.
probability of understanding a person's life is much better than what an economist can do in Wall Street and predicting the stock market.
Really? What is the reasoning why you think it's not taken as seriously?
It is taken very seriously, at least in India and many parts of the world. Right from the time a kid is born, your chart is made, you're named based on your chart. The
Wow.
first, yes, in India, when I was born, my name has to resonate with my chart. So the name is selected based on the chart. The first time I'm fed is based on my chart. They look at the chart and determine the date, time, and the place, and then a priest comes on that day, you're fed. When I'm getting married, the relationships, you can date, but we match the charts to make sure that the matching
Mm.
is good. We have 10 dimensions of existence. We look at all the 10 dimensions, look at the karmic balances, and then say, okay, this marriage will sustain. Guess what? 95% it succeeds. It's so powerful system.
So then what do you say to somebody that says, hey, what about free will? What do you say to that?
Very good. See, in the Jyotish system, in the Vedic astrology system, West, we call it Vedic astrology, actually, Jyotish system, there is two things. One is fate and one is free will. The fate component, it's like a plot of land given to everybody based on their karma. Now you can use
Ah.
your free will to work within that plot of land. It's like saying Mike Tyson is there, okay? I want to become Mike Tyson. Even if I work out for 17 to 20 hours a day, I can never be Mike Tyson. I can never be Mike Tyson because it is not the plot of land given to me.
Right,
You
right,
understand?
right.
Everybody cannot be Keke Palmer.
Come on
Only
now.
one Keke Palmer. I'm not kidding. You are given a particular, skills because it is based on your karma. Now people ask me, why is so much? It is just you have brought that good energy with you. There is no other
Wow.
explanation. If you look at, there are 10 people who are more handsome than Sylvester Stallone, who are better than that, but they have waited tables all their life in LA. And there could only be one guy who made it. You can say he's talented, the other guys are talented, good looking, but it didn't work because that plot of land was not given to them. They have something else to do.
I think that's important what you're saying with that they have something else to do, because I think it's easy in life to see when someone is walking in their path, right? When somebody is embracing their light and they're experiencing the blessings that come from them living in their truth and living in their purpose, it becomes very easy for people to say, well, I should have that. Or I want that, or that's, I want that plot of land. But what's
Correct.
key to what you're saying is that it's really just about finding your purpose. When you hone in and you actually get
Correct.
the awareness, get the understanding of who you are, where you're at, what your vibe is, it actually puts you in a position to find happiness in your plot of land instead of maybe envying someone else's, because it's really not the plot of land you're envying. You're actually envying the fact that someone else is living and knowing in their purpose. So you're saying that you feel that the karmic Vedic astrology actually can really help people to find their purpose and
Yes,
feel purposeful in that.
very powerful because it is the only system in the world, in my opinion, which talks about something called dasha system. Dasha in Sanskrit language means direction of life. So a chart can
Mm.
tell me, when I plot a chart for a person, there are almost 16 to 20 charts. That means each chart is dedicated to each aspect of life. Like one is only about marriage, one is only about career, one is only about your children, one is about your mom, one is about your dad and
Mm.
grandfather. I can't,
Damn.
I cannot analyze certain things because it's so detailed. It is so detailed, and think about the extent to which they have understood the humanity, understood the whole quantum. I call it the quantum physics of the soul. It's a quantum physics of the soul. What is this doing here? Why are you here? What is your purpose? Right now, there are two children born. One is born to a very rich person somewhere in America or somewhere. Another is born to very poor somewhere in Asia or Africa. What has that kid done? Two kid right now done that. One should be born there, another should be born here.
Right. That's very weird. I think that is like something that people hate when they hear about stuff like astrology or fate, or that's just what somebody was supposed to happen. Um, it it seems unfair. I think it seems kind of like, dang, that seems crazy.
That is why in the traditional Indian system we say you should do good karmas. It's like credit and debit. When somebody is doing very well,
Come on,
everything
credit and
is
debit.
working out for them. They say, you know what? It is all the person's good karma. Everything is working so good for them. This is the traditional saying. No one will tell that the person is talented, the person is working hard, the person is this. They will say it's all good karma. Let them keep doing. You put your hard work, do your part. It's very important to understand your karma. What is your purpose here?
So then I'm curious then, when people come to you, what do they come? They come to you and say, what? Tell me what to do. They come to you to tell, like, how does it work, Raj?
Yeah. Well, then people come, they sign up and they come to me and I make the charts and and I analyze the chart. It takes me 2 hours to do even the basic analysis, to go through everything. I make my notes, everything, and then I sit
Mm-hmm.
with them and walk them through. In a lot of times when I look at the chart, I know in my mind what is the problem. It's kind of,
Really?
yes, it's because if a person is in such a dasha system, you remember I was talking about dasha, which means direction of life. So I can break down your life into for 120 years, and every month I can go to the month level. But I don't do that because it becomes too detailed, too much. So when I look at the direction of life, I know the person is in trouble, or they are having serious relationship issues, or
Mm.
they are going health issues. Some of the charts will never succeed in relationships, so they will
What?
have yes. And I
So how
tell
do you
them,
tell someone that you will always fail in love? How do you
no.
tell them that?
I tell them, guess what? If I were your brother, I would advise you, do not marry, just date, have fun, enjoy your life. The moment you start bringing somebody at home and change the ring, your problems are going to start.
But wait a minute, Raj. What you're saying there is so important, right? Because what you're saying is not that they won't have love, but it sounds like what you're saying is that love in a relationship in the traditional sense may not
Yes,
never be good for that
for
person.
them.
This person doesn't want tradition. And when they
Correct.
try to do that, it becomes catastrophist, or if that's
Correct.
even a word. But it's like some people I love what you're saying, because it's like I think some people might even be happy to hear that, because then maybe it's an answer to their prayers and they can understand, wow,
It
I'm never supposed to live like that.
it is true.
You tell your clients it's better to be lucky than to be smart. Can you explain why you believe that?
Because if you're at the right place, life is defined by time and space. So in life, technically you have to be at the right place at the right time. For example, you go in the car, you go for an interview, you park the car, and there is a person walking into the interview, into the building, and he drops his wallet. So and he keeps walking.
Right.
You look at the wallet, you pick it up and go in, and you go after the person and say, "Sir, you dropped your wallet." "Oh, thank you so much, my friend." He said, "It was there." "Oh, I had almost $2,000 in it. I'm so grateful. Thank you." And you give it, and then you go up and you're waiting for the interview. You go into the room and you see the same guy going to be interviewing you. Okay, you
Wow.
understand? So he says, "Oh, so you're here to interview for the role?" He said, "Yes, sir." He said, "Come on, sit down." He gets the job. You see the each sequence of events?
Yeah. Luck is important.
That's why I say it's better to be lucky in life than to be smart. And I can tell you, many billionaires, many people who are successful, when they stand in front of the mirror in the evening and look at them, they at least tell, "I'm so lucky. Thank God that everything is working out."
So why are some people lucky when you talk about they've come into the life with good karma? Like, I mean, what did I you like? How did if somebody feels like I'm lucky or I'm blessed and I'm so grateful for what I have, and you know, can you tell what they did in the past life or what
No,
happened in the past life?
we can tell. It's called Purva Punya. It's fascinating, actually. To me, it's fascinating. Purva means prior, Punya means the credit you bring from the past birth. It's all debit and credit. Your life that's what I always believe. You can never escape the bad deeds you're doing and the good
Mm.
deeds you're doing, because all are going at a quantum level. Energy has been accumulated in your inner energy, That you call it spirit.
Ooh.
We call it Atma. Atma means the light, the energy. Your spirit is the eternal. It has no end and no begin. It keeps changing the body. So all the good things you have done, whatever you're enjoying now, is the lot of things is the results of what you have done. The credit should go to you for what you have done and you have brought along with you.
Yeah.
Similarly, whatever you're going to go through tough time is all the karma. But if you are aware of this fact that life is not going to be always, it is a cycle. If you understand that, lot of problems get solved and everything is temporary. And the system tells that everything is temporary. So that's why when I look at the chart, I tell people you're going to be in a tough time between this date and this date. After that, things will start getting better. So hold on, be calm, meditate, take a deep breath.
So I mean, I'm curious. Have you ever been completely wrong? Have you looked at something and got
Yes,
it wrong?
I,
Really?
I, yes, I was wrong with my own brother.
What do you mean? What
Yes.
happened?
Well, my brother, I mean, not to go deep detail, but I had predicted about his success in selling a company. He did sell, but it sold 3 years late. Okay, 3 to 4
Okay,
years.
so you were
Yeah,
so you were kind of right.
I always, whenever he spoke, I said, you are going to sell. Somehow I missed because I go too analytical. And the other important factor, is that I have learned this in my life is that never guide or work with relatives or family because you start to become biased. Sometimes you want them to succeed. You start to look, okay, you try to find ways to see, okay, there is here, there's something positive. Oh, here there is something positive.
Can you explain why it takes someone's time, place, and date of birth to determine the patterns in their life? Like, how does that work? How can the time, the place, and the date, how can that tell you all of that?
It is like quantum physics. It's like because
Oh wow.
time and space defines our existence. Don't we say we have to be at the right place at the right time? And also the ancient yogis and rishis understood this because we are a part of the cosmos. We are not alone. You are looking at yourself sitting here, but you just go back and look at the whole universe. You are nothing. You are like you're not even an ant. So you are a part of the whole cosmos. So everything, think about your body. What is it? 5 elements of nature: fire, earth, air, water, and space. What is fire? The anabolic, the activity of your body. The heat, the digestion it's the fiery part of your body. Air is what you breathe. You know, earth is your muscles. Water is your blood.
Wow.
You see, space is the space, tubular space within you are 5 elements of nature. So we are all connected. If somebody tells me, oh, there's nothing to it, I always tell, never have an opinion about something without knowing about it.
Yeah, for sure.
Yes, you if you have an opinion, you better read about it, understand a little bit, and then if you talk about it, it makes sense. Oh, there's nothing. They'll say, oh, I don't believe in astrology. This is all about. Okay, I don't believe that there is a brain. They'll say, what do you mean? I said, show me your brain. Are you going to break your head and open it to show your brain that I do have a brain? Come on. You know what I'm telling you. It's like it's like saying that you're talking in your cell phone and somebody asks you, a dummy comes and asks you, what are you doing? Oh, I'm talking cell phone. Really? You're talking to someone, I can't see the person. You say, no, I can hear the person. How do you know that it's the same person? Oh, you have to then teach them electrical engineering. There is analog and digital waves. And when you are talking, the waves are going. He will never understand. He will say, oh, it's all fake.
I love what you're saying so much because, math does tell a story. Sacred geometry, that tells a story. With that being said, do you believe in manifestation?
Yes, I do.
How does that go into connection with this? Is it limited? Is the manifestation limited
Yes,
to?
it is
Is that
limited
what you're
because
saying? Okay.
a chart reflects the skills. There is a
Yeah.
limitation. There is a limitation there. My cousin in India, I was looking at her husband's chart, and she wanted me to look at her son's chart, and I was looking at her. I said, "Don't worry about your son. Worry about your husband." She said, "Why are you suddenly telling me this?" I said, I gave her a period. I said, this time to this 12 months is very critical. He said he's healthy, he's doing very well. They were in Africa for some time. They moved back to India. They were in business. She said, he's doing well. I said, I don't know, but this period of time is going to be very tough. And there is something, we use the word maraka. Maraka means a very obstructive period coming. So better he should take care of himself, be watchful, don't invest anything risky. I always tell, when you're in tough time, lie low. Once you're out of the time, you'll be, it's better to do whatever you want. So it's kind of mitigating. If you don't do it, you're going to lose big. Either way, you lose. It's going to be, the loss is going to be either way, in the sense, like, if you don't do something, some big opportunity, you will leave and you will say, oh damn, I left that opportunity. But then if you do something, you will lose something you say, I should not have done. You understand my point?
Yeah. Sometimes that's just what's in the air.
Yeah, correct.
Yeah.
This, what happened to suddenly I get a call that he had my cousin's husband's had a aortic wall opening, like aorta, it cracked. So he was immediately taken into the hospital, in the surgery. He died.
No.
Yes, he died. He passed away.
But the son.
Not the son, the husband.
So you just saw serious something.
Yeah, serious something, health related to. That's why I ask him to take care of his health, make sure that he's doing everything. And suddenly this happens. And guess what I did? I actually took a snapshot of that chart when he died, and I have still saved it and kept to teach people.
Ooh, child, that is spooky.
Yes.
Oh my goodness. Okay, so how can people start to live a lucky life? Like, how do people enhance their life using your method?
They can use the method to understand their strengths, weaknesses, use your strengths to grow, try to mitigate your weaknesses, try to use natural methods of eating, try to do natural methods of control like pranayama, breathing control, which is because breathing control can solve a lot of your problem, anxieties, everything. Because breathing, when you get angry, what do you breathe heavy? When you run, you breathe heavy. So breathing can heal many things based on Ayurvedic systems. So I always tell them, do meditation, do yoga, be contented, be happy. And if you are good in something, focus on that. If it is meant for you, it will happen. If it is not, it is a learning. Go forward.
I love that, Raj. And I love talking to you. It's always a pleasure. You're so enlightening. And I just appreciate you for being on the show. I just can't wait for people to hear what you got going on. So thank you so much for joining me today.
Thank you so much, Keke. It was a pleasure being a part of your show. Thank you.
Baby, this is Keke.
Well, I'm so excited to get into it with my next guest. You may know her from her many appearances on The Drew Barrymore Show or her weekly Substack, The Curiosity Report. Please welcome to the show, Aliza Kelly.
Hello,
Hey,
Keke.
How are you?
I am good. It is an honor to be here. Thank you for having me.
Oh, it is my pleasure. Anybody that knows me knows I love talking about astrology. So this is probably going to be my favorite episode.
I love to hear it.
Now, I think one of the things about astrology is that people either really love it or they're either like, that shit is fake. Where do you think the skepticism comes from?
Well, oh my gosh.
I mean, I have an idea of where the skepticism comes from. If I'm being honest, I think it comes from the fact that people really don't understand the depth of astrology. They also don't really know how they're meant to apply it to their lives. So they're either coming from a place of nobody can tell me my future, or they're coming from the place of how can you tell me that I'm the same as that person? I don't know. What do you think?
Totally. I think that is 100% right. I think a lot of it has to do with people just not knowing the depth and the extent of what astrology and how individualized it is, how personalized based on, such a unique snapshot of the sky at your moment of birth, and that you're not just taking into account your sun sign, but you have all of these different planets that are doing all of these different things, and that you're really creating this beautiful narrative based on lots and lots of different stories and timelines and archetypes. I think that, it is not lost on me that the majority of pushback I get on astrology things is from men.
Interesting. What do you think that means in terms of like the mindset or the gender, or what do you think? Why do you think men specifically when you say
Well,
that?
I actually have a lot of empathy for men in this respect. I think that women, just like typically are invited to look at themselves a little bit more deeply than men are.
Mm.
And I think that for men, the typical sort of like growing up as a male experience, you're not necessarily going to have as much encouragement to be reflective, to go inward, to recognize that your externality might be really different than what's going on the inside. So I think that there's a part of it that feels almost like challenging, like really existentially challenging, that there's suddenly something that can tell you so much about yourself.
Yeah, I get it. Along the same lines, do you think that astrology only works if you believe in its power? Like, you think it's based off of your belief in it?
No, that's a really good
Interesting.
question.
Let's
Yeah.
let's expand on that.
Yeah. I
I
think
love
that
this.
astrology is going to, the planets are always in motion.
Mm.
And astrology is this like really gorgeous reminder of the fact that nothing is static and nothing is permanent. And we're all moving through cycles. Whether or not we want to pay attention to that change is happening in our lives. We are having new experiences. We're growing, we're maturing, we're discovering new qualities about who we are and how we relate to the world. And from an astrological perspective, there's like really incredible timing around those. And whether or not we want to acknowledge the astrological piece of it, like it's still playing a role. I will often see that people, in their like 30s will look back and be like, I was going through my Saturn return in my late 20s. Didn't necessarily know it was happening then, but then, retrospectively looking back and being like, oh, yeah, that checks out.
And when you speak to cycles, I love that too, right? Because I think that that's like the thing that people would naturally say, oh, that was a hard time in my life, or there was a lot of things going on, or that was just a weird period. So I know the big three are sun, moon, and rising, but I feel like I'm pretty versed in it, but even for me, sometimes it gets hard to describe to people what that represents, right? Like, what is the true breakdown of the sun, the moon, and the rising? And why are those three some of the most popular right now, in terms of like getting into the depth of astrology? People always say, your big three. Why?
So I think that the reason that the big three has become so ubiquitous when we're talking about astrology is because it really is like a nice, like a flyover view of some of the most important things into who someone is. It's three touch points that have a lot of information packed into them. So I always start with the rising sign, because the rising sign is often, there's a misconception around it that it's like the mask you wear in public.
Yeah, that's what I've
Reading
always
that
heard
and
too.
hearing, yeah. But that kind of makes it seem like it's a facade, or it's like just an external expression. But your rising sign, which is what zodiac sign was coming up from the eastern horizon at your exact time of birth, is really like your perspective on reality. It is your mission in this
Ooh.
life. Yeah.
Ooh.
It's
Girl.
big. It's really important. Actually,
I
prior
love that.
to 1930, when sun sign horoscopes became very popular, your rising sign sort of like was the most dominant position in a horoscope. It took on, it was the importance of the sun sign today.
Wow. So the rising sign is essentially how you see the world, the perspective and what you see that it's like. Okay.
Yes.
And then
And
what's
then,
the
of
sun?
course,
Oh,
that's
go
how
ahead.
other
Sorry.
people see you, because if your
Yeah.
perspective on reality is like, I have to work really hard all the time, or like things are always going to be, I'm always trying to like break the mold and do things differently. Of course, people are going to see you through that lens, but it's not because you're putting on an act. It's because that is like your mission. It is your vantage looking out.
Mm, love that. How would you describe the sun?
So the sun is then how you are sort of exacting that mission. It is how you are leading it.
Mm.
So the relationship between, if your rising sign is like, this is my mission, then the sun sign is sort of how you are approaching it day to day. It's what your lived
I love it. This
experience
is getting better
looks
and
like.
better for me with my big three. I'm
Yeah.
absolutely loving where this is going, and I can't wait to get into it. But before I get into that, I want to know how do you describe the moon?
So the moon is your emotional inner world. I like to say that the sun is what you do every day. It is how you know, move through the world. It's how you show up. It's how you shine. And then when you are in bed at night by yourself, reflecting on all of those things, that's your moon sign coming out. How do I feel about it? How was I processing it?
So what that tells me, now that you've broken those down, my rising is a Cancer, and it makes sense as to why sometimes I see the world very, I don't want to say traditional, but in a lot of sense traditional. I also see myself as a giver, as someone that's trying to nurture. I feel like there needs to be nurturing. Things need to be catered to. There needs to be a greater sense of safety and just love overall, and sensitivity to one another and in each other's feelings. But then I'm a Virgo sun. So the way that I approach that is very precise. It's
Yep.
very just like, this is the thing. We got to organize. We got to stay on point. If we want to give this and we want to make sure people feel safe, we got to create this kind of environment. We got to do X, Y, and Z. But here's where the conflict comes in. And this has helped me with your description of the moon, is that my moon is a Sagittarius. So much of me also conflicts with that, because it says, I don't want to be traditional. I don't want to, the processing of this is making me feel a little bit bogged down. I'm feeling
Right.
a little bit that this is tying me up, and I want to have a little bit more fun. I want to feel a little bit more loose and not so intense about all this.
Just those three placements alone give us so much to unpack and explore, right? Because as you said, like and I think that your description of these is so perfect. The Cancer rising, you see the world as a place that you need to nurture and foster, and you want to bring love and protection and care into. And oftentimes with the Cancer rising, it's like the sort of woe is like, why do I have to care so much? Like, why am I the only one out here caring so very much about everything? And then your sun sign is like, how do I live that truth? How do I do the best job that I possibly can expressing that sentiment? And it's by creating systems. It's by showing up. It's about building things. It's really sort of structured, and it's wanting to create a scaffolding that's actually going to support the mission, right?
But
then your moon also wants to live this mission. Your moon also wants to say, how do I bring more love and more care and more nurture in the world? But your moon is doing it by saying, like, we have to learn. We have to explore. We have to travel. We have to experience things.
Yes, that's right.
Yeah. So they're coming, but they all want the same thing, like ultimately we're living this Cancerian truth. And you also have Venus right on your ascendant too.
Yes,
so
I do.
Venus is also like, this is what you value. It's not just like a theoretical concept. It's something that you like embody.
And it's so true. I do value it, but I think that what often would make me feel confused and make me kind of feel conflicted in my mind is that while I do value that very concept that I value is sometimes perceived to be experienced or explored in such a specific way. And my Sagittarius says, well, no. My Sagittarius moon tells me that I've got to figure it out on my own, that I can have this vibe and this can be this thing, but it's not going to look like everybody else's, and that's okay.
Right.
Because through my experience, my knowledge, my ability to access and live in my freedom is going to actually help me be better in that. That I need to be that in order to really know what that means for me.
Yes. But, interestingly, your moon is in your 6th house, which is also the area of the chart that has to do with structures and system and what you're doing on a day-to-day basis. So it's almost about sort of integrating all of these, right? It's about like, how do I keep things flowing and moving and learning and experiencing, not just as this concept, but as something that I'm truly embodying and as something that is enhancing every single day. And maybe it's a matter of like, I'm going to make, like, the point is learning or teaching 5 things every day, and that is creating the structure and the foundation, Virgo style, that is then going to create this beautiful blueprint that I want to work with.
But that's why it's, I'm not called Kiki Keep a Bag Palmer for no reason, because that's literally how I live my life, doing 5 million different things
Yeah.
every day, because that's really how I have to survive. I don't
Yeah.
know. It's just who I am. I have to do it.
Yes.
I have to be that. And I think I don't know. I feel like it's like almost, how I think about surviving in so many ways.
Totally.
What do you think? What sign has the worst reputation, and why is that?
Well, I think that Gemini and Scorpio probably are the two
Yeah.
that I hear the most people, have strong people, especially people who don't know anything about astrology, have strong reactions to, and it's almost like a learned behavior or something. It's like,
Yeah.
if a Gemini says they're Gemini, people are going to be like, oh, or like Scorpio is like, ooh, stay away from me. And it's like, why? Why are you even saying that? Where is that coming from? I think that the quality of having freedom or duality, or in this case of Scorpio, like deep psychological complexity, could be threatening or intimidating or not something that is easily digestible. But honestly, I
Mhm.
think that most of the time it's like people have just been told over the
Yeah.
years, like, oh, Gemini is this way, so be afraid of them, without ever even like taking the time to explore what that means.
Which sign you think has the best reputation and why? I know I have a thought, but I'm gonna let you go first.
That's a really good question. I would say Taurus, probably.
Really? Okay. I do think a lot of people never have anything bad to say about Tauruses, but that's because they don't seem to rock the boat ever.
Yeah, exactly.
They're very much so like, I'm here, I'm living, I'm doing me. Much love to you. But I also do feel like Virgos get a pretty good reputation, but I only think it's because we have a lot of successful people tied to our name. Like in terms of just like when you think about, Beyonce or, Kobe Bryant or, so I think sometimes people think Virgos like, I don't know, or maybe there's just a lot of Virgos. I don't know what that means when people were having sex, but people were maybe having a ton of sex in the time
I think it was around Valentine's Day.
Right. So maybe that's why. This is a very
Yeah.
popular sign, I feel, but I guess it just means that people were, doing the do on Valentine's Day. Okay, for the fun part, could you offer me any predictions based on my chart? Any predictions for 2024?
Oh my gosh. Okay, yeah, let's do it. So there has been a lot going on in the area of your chart relating to family and home, which I guess should not be a major shocker considering the fact that you are a new mom. But that, I think, you said in your own words that it changes your life.
Mhm.
The area of the chart that there's currently a lot of things going on in right now, which is the 4th house, the area of your chart associated with home and family, doesn't just operate independently. It actually also pulls to your 10th house, which is your career, your reputation, your legacy, your professional achievements and accomplishments. So there's a really interesting redistribution that's happening right now of how you see yourself relative to perhaps being a mom or the new responsibilities in your life, or just like growing up, feeling different, having gone through your Saturn return now, and then how that relates to the things that you want to do externally to the public. Where do you want to spend your time and energy? How do you want to be communicating your truth? What matters to you? There's a different sort of sense of purpose that has sort of emerged since your Saturn return. And that is very transformative. And I should also mention that we are right now on the precipice of some really big eclipses that are happening. So we're recording this in the midst of eclipse season, which is always a big time for lots and lots of change, doors opening, others closing, sort of things that are coming in and out as we move towards our destiny. And for you, that sort of like the main event is taking place in the area of your chart around your career, around your legacy. It would not surprise me if, like, up and coming soon, you have this really game change opportunity presenting itself. But there's also this, do I take it and continue on this path, or is this not how I want to move forward? Is this not the direction for me? And I think that that's going to be like a really exciting sort of sliding doors moment of like, which, choose your own adventure for you.
Wow. This is so interesting.
Yeah. And I think that you having gone through and experienced sort of new dimensions of self is going to be like, you wouldn't have found yourself considering the different options that you are going to be considering should you have not already started to transform and change.
Wow. That's crazy how you can know, you can see the transform and change. Like, well, how does that
Yeah.
look up, and how do you know that there's transformation and change? Like, I mean, I've definitely feel it in my life, but how do you know? Like, how can you read that?
So, I mean, one of the main things that I see, like, I've been looking at charts for so many years now. It's interesting. Like, they kind of just vibrate, they kind of just speak in vibration to me now of like
That
where
makes
things are
sense, though.
pooling and how I can sort of very quickly see the energy of it. But for anyone who's curious, including yourself, of course, Pluto, which is the planet of major transformation, has been oscillating on your descendant, which is the opposite of your ascendant, for quite some time.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, whenever Pluto is heavily involved in a chart like it is in yours, we are going through massive growth spurts. Massive.
And when does it leave me? Like, is it leaving me soon, or is it here to stay? Or
It's a slow moving planet, so it's going to be sort of like hanging out for. It's been hanging out for a while. It's going to hang out for a little bit longer, but by the end of 2024, it's going to have moved on.
okay. All right. And then what else can you tell me in terms of like how I can prepare myself for 2024?
So I would say that like some of the biggest change that's going to be happening in 2024 for you, that's something that you haven't experienced already or haven't gotten the sort of taste of yet, is that Jupiter, which is the planet of expansion, is going to be moving into the area of your chart around sort of humanity and wishes, and this sort of it's a very sort of conceptual area, but it has to do with the way that you can inspire people to sort of like live their best life and find their calling. So it almost feels like there's a beautiful opportunity for you to, well, you should always be telling your story. I mean, like that's a key variable in your chart. You have Mercury and the sun right next to each other in your chart. So for you, like always communicating your experience, from your perspective is really important, not just because you're fabulous and people want to know your story, but because it's actually really healing and inspiring for others, right? People can be really sort of like motivated by it. And for me, I don't know, there's something around like a book or a memoir or a series of essays. There's something around like taking your story and then really translating it on this larger scale.
Alchemizing.
Yes, exactly. That I would say
it's crazy.
Yeah.
It's crazy that you just said that, because that's literally something that's happening. So it's so interesting that you said that, but there's clearly some aspect to it that is, like you said, I guess going to be presenting something new, the whole like sliding door situation. So I'm excited to see how that continues to unfold.
Yeah, I am too.
Yeah, that's really cool. Okay. Anything else I should know? Anything else you want to tell me about 2024? Anything before we move on?
Let's see if there's anything else that's standing out to me. I mean, I'm just proud of you for getting through your Saturn return. That's always a big one. You did it.
Wow. Why do you say that, though? Why do you say that for everybody that's listening? Why is the Saturn return so difficult?
Because it is so difficult. The Saturn return is so difficult because we really have to reevaluate every single thing in our life. And we have to consider whether or not we are living the life that we want to live at that time. And for people who are listening, this happens in our late 20s and early 30s. And for some people, it's just like it can be it is a challenging process, but getting to the other side of it is so rewarding, because what ends up happening is that you become your own parent. You know how to take care of yourself. You know what you need. And you're not really playing by other people's rules anymore. You know what you're actually, what you're worth.
That's right. That's right. That's exactly how I feel. And so you can tell that my Saturn return is over, or there's still a few days left. Or is it,
Over and
oh,
done.
I'm telling you, man, before I feel like who I am becoming now and continuing to evolve into is so much more comfortable with the fact that, I do what I want. I
Yeah.
think that I used to feel really apologetic to that before. Like I used to feel sad that, somebody would think I was a bitch, or that I was too demanding, or that I was too non-traditional, or that I was too free, or that I was, not anything that anybody could define. Like I used to feel a little bit bothered by that. And now I actually feel so much freedom in the fact that I don't. And I actually feel so strong and no longer think that it's a good thing to like actually lie about who I am and what I want to somebody because I think that that's what they want, or I think that that's what is going to get me what I want. I actually know that like actually owning that and being that is what people also want from me. And it makes
Right.
things so much easier for my life and for people that want to be in my life when I stop pretending that I'm not powerful.
Wow.
That's kind
Received.
of the vibe.
Yes. Beautiful. Yeah.
Thanks. That's kind of the vibe. Okay, so Aliza, obviously this has been an amazing conversation. And I've loved hearing your perspective on astrology and would love to have you back on the show sometime. So, be ready to answer these calls, girl. But before you go, we're going to play a little game called Sorry to This Man. And I'm going to quiz you and see if you can guess the correct zodiac signs of some of our favorite celebrities. We're going back to your early astrology days.
Perfect.
You ready?
I'm so excited.
Here we go. The first person is Issa Rae. Star of
Capricorn.
Insecure. Damn, how'd you know that fast?
Because I know.
Oh,
but
I was about to say, whoa.
But I would also say that Capricorn is just like it's a powerhouse sign. It is like it is so strong. It is so like smart. It is so sharp. It is like I don't know. I think that she embodies it really perfectly.
Yeah, because she's also like very quiet about it, but there's major fire underneath. Like there's
Yes.
Capricorns seem like, they're the old goat. So it can seem like, oh, they don't know. But then when you really get into it, it's like, no, they're fierce as hell and they're not fucking around type of vibe. Okay, Taylor Swift.
Well, we know she's a Sag.
Period.
Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of really good Sagittarius pop stars.
When I think about Taylor Swift, the thing about her, to me, that makes her such a Sagittarius is her ability to say whatever the hell she wants, to challenge the status quo, and to own like her strength, to like not be afraid to be like, man, I'm busting out this bit. Like I'm strong. Y'all not gonna break me. And I feel and I know and I get it. But hey.
Yeah. And I think even like, her having a tour called Eras is very Sagittarius. It's like we're just playing. She's always going through some sort of exploration journey. We're just always playing catch up.
I love it. VP Kamala Harris.
She is her
sign makes sense
Libra.
to me now.
She's a Libra.
Yeah. And Libras, this is the thing. Like Libras are all about presentation. And I think sometimes people have a problem with that. You know what I mean? Like when you think about Libras, you think about, okay, so Kamala Harris, Will Smith, Kim Kardashian, all Libras and all Cardi B, all tons of depth for the ones. I don't know any of them personally. Obviously, I'm sure there's depth. They're successful. They've accomplished things. They know they have enough deep awareness about themselves. But they care. There's Libras are always about how they're going to present it to you. And I think some people sometimes can denote or denounce someone's credibility when their focus is so much on the outside, which I think is interesting, right? Because if somebody cares about how they're presenting something to you, then the package is it has to be nice, right?
Yeah, I think that there is definitely like a stereotype or, a bad day Libra is going to be materialistic and superficial, like that is what's going to happen like to someone who is not self-actualizing, right?
Yeah, love that. I love that. I have a Libra in one of my aspects. Like, I don't know if it's like communication or relationships or something. But I know
you
Libra's
have a
in there.
Libra Mars.
Yeah. So it's like, and also there's like a fairness. I'm always trying to be like, everything needs to be just. Like we
Yes.
know, and everything has to be fair and equal. Like I think that's also a big thing for Libras. Kanye West, obviously we know he's a
Gemini through and through.
Yeah, very much Gemini. Let's explain what has he displayed that has been Gemini in its most Gemini form.
You know, one of the things that I love when talking about Kanye as like a quintessential Gemini is that Geminis just like to sort of throw ideas out there and see how they sound, you know, and like try it out. Just
They
be
like
like,
reactions. I think that sometimes is the annoying thing about me if we're being just like generalizing and surface level. Like Geminis like reactions. They like to test the waters. They like to see people react to them. It's almost like they are like so at the surface of their human experience. And they're like, let's see how it goes up here. You know what I mean? And they're like, let me just try this. I don't know how long I'm here. I'm not sure how long the stay is going to be. I'm not stressed. Are you? And so it's always kind of like what can feel not antagonizing, but very much so like, I'm present.
Yes.
Let's see if you are.
Yeah. Yeah, that's exactly right. You know, Geminis don't really care that much. Like in general, you know, it's not like they're not like saying something and they're like, I swear by this. Like I would die by this point of view. Like Geminis are like, whoa, like you made it so much more serious than it needed to be. You know, like I just thought it was going to be fun.
Which is also ridiculous and annoying because they say sometimes some of the most like world crashing things.
Right.
And
like,
you know, there's
shocking.
Yeah. There's like no responsibility there at all, which is also a tough pill for people to swallow. Like,
yes.
No responsibility to others. Interesting. Thanks.
We'll clean up the
Rihanna.
mess. No problem. Oh my God. Rihanna is such a beautiful Pisces. It's unbelievable. Something that we often don't talk about with Pisces, which is like Gemini, they are a sign of duality. Gemini is the twins, and Pisces is two fish swimming in opposite directions is the symbol for it. So they have
I love how you pointed that out.
These like inherent multiplicities to them, you know?
That's so interesting. And my son's a Pisces, February 25th, and he's like that. Like I look at him sometimes and he's laughing and roaring and then next minute he's like, if you look at me one more time, I'm going to scream. And it's like, damn, like why? It's like, what did I do? You know what I mean? Like, why is this the vibe? But I think it's like you said, like he's picking up on energies. He's extremely sensitive and intuitive. And he also wants to be left alone. Like my son also has a feeling of independence and wanting to kind of be left alone. And I'm excited to like explore that as he gets older and he, you know, his level of communication, because he seems to have some clear boundaries already. He's only 7 months.
That's amazing. I love a Pisces with boundaries. That's unstoppable.
Okay, period. And then I'm going to throw this last one out there. Adam Sandler.
He's a Virgo, right?
He is. He's a Virgo. Is he very Virgo-y?
Well, I mean, like, there's definitely a part of like the Adam Sandler outfit that I feel like is sort of like an unhinged Virgo.
No, it is. And look at me, how I'm dressed. I know my face is beat, but a lot of times on the podcast, I come here looking like I live on the street, honey. And it is so true. Like a Virgo is so like, I want to look like I am able to hop in the bed and go to the stove if I need to. Like, I don't know why we're like that, but there's something that's so homely about a Virgo.
Yeah, I mean, I think that like a Virgo is like, you know, a Virgo is so meticulous and so precise, but that doesn't mean that it doesn't take a lot of energy and work. And sometimes a Virgo just needs to like really decompress, like really just like be completely raw, like
Girl,
not have anything on their mind because they're so wrapped up in all of these other things that it's like the last thing you can do is figure out what you're wearing, you know?
I mean, I couldn't have said it better myself. It gets so exhausting for us to have to just do all of the things, you know what I mean? So we really are like trying to be on that Steve Jobs, like just give me the same suit. Just give me the same costume. I got to get out of here.
100%. Yeah, I love the idea of a Virgo just having like a wardrobe of the same outfits, like a cartoon character.
I mean, that's me. I've been trying to find it. I'm gonna find the costume, and when I find it, I'm never coming back. Okay,
I can't wait for it. I can't wait.
Well, thank you so much, Aliza. You're so much fun, and I love your interpretations and the POV that you were able to give with astrology, and just how you were interpreting the charts. It was really cool, especially the sun, the moon, the rising. It was really great. I love talking about this stuff, so I can't wait till we have you back.
Thank you so much. It was so much fun talking to you.
Thank you. Thank you so much for coming along with me today, guys. It was a journey, and a journey that I loved. More to come next week, so stay tuned because you know it's your girl.
Baby, this is Keke.